Welcome to the Men Unplugged Show. Get ready to plug in and recharge your life, family, and career while igniting your faith in Christ. Now, here's your host and champion of helping men live with passion and purpose, Jeff Jerina.
Hey and hello, Jeff Jerina here, and welcome to episode 87 of the Men Unplugged Show, where you get the wisdom, practical tips, and resources that you need to succeed in every aspect of life. If this is your first time listening to the show, I want to send you a special warm welcome and encourage you to visit our website at menunplugged.net. Hey, when you're there, just click the sign up button to join our weekly email list. By doing that, I'm going to send you a free digital copy of my first book, 10 Steps to Power and Purpose, which is a very quick read, as well as a series of emails that will highlight some of our key resources, top episodes, and a quick overview of how my guests and I, guests which are well-known and inspiring Christian leaders, how we can help you ignite your faith and recharge your life. Now, speaking of recharging your life, I have a special episode today. It's part of a speech that I gave at a recent business conference to city officials, corporate executives, small business owners, and other professionals. And I think the content here applies to anyone. Now, before we jump into that speech, I wanted to read 3 testimonials. These are from longtime listeners and brothers in Christ who have taken the time, probably about 30 to 60 seconds, maybe who knows, maybe 2 minutes, but they took the time to share how Men Unplugged has helped them. So right up front, I want to say thank you to Terry D. from Texas, Bobby R. from the U.S., and Jason from Australia. Bobby writes, "Your show has been instrumental in my learning about Jesus and what it means to be a Christian. I absolutely love what you're doing. I could go on for a lot longer about how much I like the show, but just know that I deeply appreciate all that you're doing." Jason writes, "Hey Jeff, thank you so much for your efforts in spreading God's word and inspiring Christians all across the world to fix their eyes on Jesus. I became a Christian on May 19th of 2018, and your show has been transforming my walk with Christ every day. I couldn't be more thankful that God has brought me to your show." And Terry writes, "Thank you so much for the spiritual shots in the arm you provide. It's such a blessing to hear how God has touched the people that you interview in so many ways. What's amazing is how God intervenes irregardless of what the interviewee's situation is." Thanks again, guys, for your kind words. I really do appreciate them. It's amazing to me just to see how the Lord works day in and day out. Now, if you've already provided a testimonial via email or through a rating and review on the Men Unplugged Apple Podcast page, I want to let you know that I really appreciate your honest feedback. Your testimonials and the ones that I just read are what it's all about to me. They're part of the fuel that keep me going, interview after interview, creating new content, courses, coaching, and other resources to help you stay plugged in and recharged. Now, with that said, I would love to hear your feedback. How has Men Unplugged helped you or someone else that you know? It can be short like the ones I just read, or even longer, whatever you're comfortable with. This will help us reach our goal of reaching more men for Christ, equipping them in their daily walk, as well as securing corporate sponsors. Now, to send your testimonial today, there's 3 ways that you can do it. I'm just going to list these 3 out, and I would say pick the one that's the easiest for you to do. The first way is just to send me an email at jeff@menunplugged.net. That's jeff@menunplugged.net. And the second way is to fill out the contact form on the contact page on our website. And the URL to that is menunplugged.net/contact. And the last way is to give your testimonial through the rate and review tab on the Men Unplugged Apple Podcast show link. All right, I look forward to reading your reviews. Without any further ado, let's hear that speech. I hope what I'm going to share with you today is going to help you be successful in anything that you want to achieve. So that reminds me, when my dad and I, back in 2000, we went to the U.S. Open tennis tournament. Has anybody ever played tennis or liked tennis? If I could see a show of hands. Anybody at all? All right. This is really good. Now, who is left-handed? I'm left-handed. See, you have an advantage in tennis. You do. So we're at the tennis tournament, the U.S. Open. You buy one general admission ticket. Okay, this ticket will get you into any court that you want, any match except the one on center court. For that, you have to buy another ticket. For this particular day, we're in the general admission, and in between the scheduled matches, we had a chance to watch one of probably the most decorated U.S. tennis athlete, Pete Sampras, warm up. Okay? Now here's the deal. We're walking between one scheduled match to the next, and we just saw Pete Sampras and his coach, Paul Annacone, about to go on this practice court. And I'm like, Dad, you think we can go over there? He's like, hey, let's just try it. The only thing they can say is, you can't be here. So we walk over there. We sit on these bleachers, the front row, probably 5 to 10 feet away from the tennis courts. So we're watching Pete Sampras hit his ground strokes, hit his volleys, hit his overhead. Then he started hitting his serve. And he's just cranking 120 mile an hour plus serve. Just boom, boom, boom. Almost every serve is at the same spot from the one before it. And I'm sitting there watching him. The racket speed's the same. The ball toss is the same. And the same placement that the racket hits the tennis ball. And then this question popped in my head. How is he doing that so effortlessly? And then it dawned on me. It has to do, his consistency in hitting those tennis serves is in direct proportion to the amount of preparation and practice of those tennis serves. Do you find that true in your life? The ability to prepare is one of those components that we're going to talk about today. So as we dive into our topic, I want you to know what I define success as. I don't define it as just financial success. And the reason why I say this is because I don't have a lot of money. But it would be nice to have more money, right? It's a great resource. But what I define success at is this. It's hitting an expectation or goal that you've set out to achieve. Success, again, is hitting an expectation or goal that you set out to achieve. Now, what I've found here from my own experiences is that every successful outcome starts with a game plan or a map. So what is this map? It's motivation, it's awareness, and it's preparation. Map. Okay, the first part of really being successful in whatever you do, this first part of this map is you have to be motivated. You have to have a desire to do what you're set out to do. If your boss is asking you to do something and you're not motivated to do that, you're just going through the motions, right? The end product is not going to be that good, correct? If you have a business and you're in the wrong, you're selling the wrong product, the wrong service that doesn't match you, it doesn't suit you, you're not going to be as productive. You're not going to sell as much as if you were selling something that really fit your DNA. Now think about this. When you went to high school, when you went to college, you had a desire at the very least to graduate. Now maybe you didn't have the desire, but your parents had the desire for you to graduate, right? Now when you got your first job, maybe it was in high school, you were motivated to work hard for your boss because you maybe wanted to get more pay. You maybe wanted to get another promotion. How many of you are married here? If I could see a show of hands. Now, I will bet you that when you first met your spouse, you were trying to impress them, right? Right? You were motivated to do that. Well, okay, maybe the guys, okay? Maybe the guys did that because I know for me, I was working out all the time. I was doing a bunch of extracurricular activities, doing a lot of service stuff. So I could show my wife, look at all the stuff I'm doing. I'm a pretty cool guy. Now, regardless of whatever you want to achieve in life, it's absolutely essential that you have the desire to do it. President JFK, when he went to the father of space travel, Dr. von Braun, he asked Dr. von Braun, he said, Dr. Braun, what would it take to safely fly a man to the moon and back? What would it take? And Dr. Braun said this, he said, just the will to do it. The will to do it. Desire, motivation. Okay, so some of you may be thinking, okay, well, Jeff, that's great. Dr. Braun had the full backing of President JFK. He had the full backing of all the resources from the U.S. government, right? He had all this stuff. But here's the thing. When I look at and I study successful people, they don't have any more resources to begin with than we do. Most of them don't. They don't have more time. They don't have more money. They don't have more talent. There is one thing that they have that we can all have today. You can have it right now. It's this thing called resourcefulness. The ability to be resourceful will help you in being motivated. Now, just personally speaking here, I'm 47 years old, and 17 years ago, my life just radically changed for the better. I was severely depressed, had suicide thoughts almost every other day in my life. It was that bad. I had no direction, no purpose, didn't even understand how I was gifted, didn't understand my personality type. And somebody, this is for me, somebody shared the gospel of Jesus Christ with me, changed my life forever, placed my faith in Christ, and it was, bam, 180 degrees the right direction, knowing what my purpose was. Okay? Now I have a map. Now I'm starting to get this desire. Go forward here a little bit. I'm kind of not knowing what I'm supposed to do. So a buddy of mine said, don't you hate it when a buddy says, why don't you go do this? Don't you hate that? A buddy of mine says, you need to start a Christmas lighting business. I don't know how to do a Christmas lighting business. He said, if you want to do ministry, if you want to impact others, you have to have something that you can do on the side. I'm like, okay, I don't know how to do that. I've got this business degree, but I don't want to climb up ladders. He said, well, wait a second. Why don't you try it? So here's what I did. Right after Halloween, I went and bought one of those Santa hats at Hobby Lobby. I don't have it with me today. I threw it away because I looked stupid. I just looked silly with it. So put on a Santa hat, picked a street in Dallas. Just picked a street, some homes that I thought, man, I bet you they want some Christmas lights, and I bet you they won't do it themselves. So I put my Santa hat on, started knocking on doors, and I said, hey, my name is Jeff Jerina, and I know it's the day after Halloween, but this is the time to get ready for Christmas. Would you mind if we put Christmas lights up for you? And somebody said no. Next person said yes. Next person said yes. And then I figured it out. As soon as somebody said yes, I said, Bill and Julie down the street just signed up. Joe just signed up. Chris just signed up. Next thing I know, I had 8 customers on this one street, and I was off to the races. I had a desire to succeed. I had no other job. I was motivated to generate income so I wouldn't be on the streets. So fast forward here a little bit. I've now got this desire, this motivation. I'm married. My wife, Amy, and I have been married for 10 years, have 2 awesome kids. But here's the deal. I told my wife, Amy, I said, look, I feel like I need to go to seminary. I just feel like the Lord's calling me to do that. She said, yeah, okay, let's do it. I didn't have money. I didn't have extra time. I didn't have all this talent, but I had a desire to get a graduate degree. So I take my first class, and after the first class is over, got an A in the class, praise the Lord. I said to my wife, I said, look, honey, I got to stop. This is way too hard. And she said, you've only taken 1 class. And so I said, okay, I'm going to stick it out. Stuck it out. 7 years later, I finished with a seminary degree with honors. Okay, I'm not saying that to boast. I'm just saying that whatever you do, you have to have a desire. And I want you to understand something. That your amount of or your lack of experience, education, age, background, or skill set is not the determining factor for achieving your goals. That is not the determining factor. It's your motivation. Legendary basketball coach John Wooden said this. He said, keep in mind that hustle makes up for many mistakes. Who watched the French Open this past weekend? Anybody do that? Nobody? Okay. Oh, you did. Thank you. He just gave me a mercy raise. Thank you so much for that. Thank you. Rafael Nadal just won the French Open. His 18th Grand Slam tournament, his 12th French Open tournament. No man or woman has won one single tournament more than him. And when he was training early on, his first coach was his uncle. Rafael was chasing every tennis ball, even balls that he couldn't get. And his dad told him, don't do that. Don't chase those balls. And his uncle went up to his dad and said, no, you don't get it. You don't get it. Rafael is going to chase every one of those balls, even the ones that he doesn't get, because it's going to show that opponent that they better hit the best shot possible, because if they don't, Rafael Nadal is going to slam it back in their face. Hustle, desire, motivation, the will to do it. So when you get stuck not knowing where to start in achieving the goal or milestones you have for you or your organization, I hope you'll take a page out of my life. And it's this is what I've realized, that you're never going to make the right move until you take the first move. Zig Ziglar says this: you don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. Hey, Men Unplugged Faithful, I want to tell you about a resource that I'm so passionate about. One that has helped me communicate better with others, increase productivity, improve my relationships, and help me uncover some of those pesky blind spots. It's our one-of-a-kind personality profile assessment tool. It's going to help improve your communication skills, identify your strengths, reduce stress, and unlock your leadership potential. Whether it's for you, your spouse, your kids, or your coworkers, you're going to be given detailed, positive, and personalized feedback about your own unique personality style. To get yours today, go to menunplugged.net/profile. And to take the next step in living your true purpose, register for my 10 Steps to Live with Power and Purpose course or my personal development coaching at menunplugged.net/courses. That's COURSES. Okay, the second step to success is awareness. And what I mean by that is you have to know yourself, your strengths, your weaknesses, your abilities, your personality type, all these different things. Now, I'm not going to go over all these today, but I do want to highlight one of them. What I want to highlight is this idea of personality type. And this is a way, as you see it, the sheets of paper there, we're going to do some interactive stuff here. And you're like, come on, Jeff, I just want to sit down. But no, this will be cool. If you need more help in these areas, we're not going to go over this today. What we're going to talk about is just going to scratch the surface. But we do have an online personality profile at menunplugged.net that helps you, that helps your children, helps your spouse, helps your organization find out better how you're wired. I had a guest on the show, is episode 77. It's actually our most downloaded episode, most listened to. It's reduce stress, improve relationships, and live your strengths. It is the most downloaded show. And the gentleman that was on there spoke about using our personality profiler. He used this back in 2001 to fill the entire Arizona Diamondback roster. The GM came to him and said, look, I want you to fill our whole roster with this personality type. Okay? He filled the entire roster. And that Major League Baseball team won the World Series in 2001 quicker than any other baseball team in history. Isn't that crazy? And the GM said the reason why is because you filled it with the right personality types. Every one of those guys on there was a high D dominant type person. That's what he wanted. And the guy said, well, wait a second. Don't you want some people that are influencers, some people that are more conscientious, some people that are more sensitive? He said, no. You don't get it. Baseball is not a team sport. He's like, what? You're on the same team? He said, no. Baseball is an individual sport that they're all on the same team. Does that make sense? Every player is doing a separate individual thing on their own. So they had to be very high D personality type. But let's move on to the last step here, and then we're going to wrap it up. The third step I want to talk about today on being successful is preparation, or the law of practice. The more you do something, the better you become at it. If you think back to your childhood for a moment, when you first started to walk, ride your bike, say your first word, or even brush your teeth, did you start out doing it as an expert? Do you actually know how to do it right away? You didn't, did you? Somebody had to teach you how to do this. Whether it was your mom or your dad or somebody that was more skilled at it, they had to coach you. And you had to do it over and over and over again until you did it right. Now take the same principle here and apply it to a brain surgeon. Heaven forbid, let's say somebody you know has got to go in for brain surgery, and their brain surgeon tells the gentleman, you know what? I just learned how to do this because I just watched one of those Geico commercials. I would be running for the hills, right? That's not good. No bueno. Now, the same principle applies to your job today. You more than likely had to have some form of education, some schooling, training. You had to work your way up the corporate ladder. There was some element of preparation or practice repetitively. Now, you may have heard the famous sports maxim. It says, the will to win is not nearly as important as the will to prepare to win. You remember that preparation is not a one-time thing. It's over and over and over again. It's like you get up out of bed. The alarm clock goes off. Sometimes you want to throw it across the room, but you turn that off, you get out of bed, same routine, over and over again. The more you do something, the better you become at it. When I spoke about the importance of practice, I wrote about this in my upcoming book that's coming out this summer. I spoke about that with former NCAA football coach and state senator Dave Rader. I said, man, part of my book is this deal about practice. And he said, man, you don't get it, Jeff. Practice is so important. I'm like, what do you mean? He figured out that every starter in college football, it took them 60 hours of practice for every 1 minute they played in a game. 60 hours of practice for 1 minute of game time. And the difference between evenly matched teams comes down to 8 or 9 different plays that really make a difference in that ball game. 8 or 9 plays. That's it. Which means that the team that wins those close games is going to be practicing those critical plays more and more. Now, I'm not a New England Patriots fan. Who is a Patriots fan? Please don't raise your hand. Who's a Cowboys fan? Me. Yes. I do, though. I have to give the Patriots props. I mean, think about this. Almost every year, they're in the Super Bowl or the AFC Championship game. And if you think about it, it's because Bill Belichick says they practice the intangibles over and over and over again. So when they're in crunch time in these critical plays, they're not scared. They're not afraid because they've already done this in practice, 100 times. That's the difference. Now, maybe right now for you, let's speak more practically. You want to get better at sales. Maybe it's a new software program that you're trying to learn. You're trying to roll out to your company. Maybe it's some new management technique or a hobby or personal skill that you need to practice over and over again. We have to do it repetitively. Benjamin Franklin said this. He said, by failing to prepare, you're preparing to fail. To wrap up this final point, I want to wrap it up with something I share with others. It's something that applies to any goal or milestone you're trying to reach. It's not the capacity to learn, but the willingness to prepare that really matters. It's not the capacity to learn, but the willingness to prepare that really matters. So to give you an illustration of what I mean, I'm going to share a quick story here and how these 3 components work together. Okay? Now, as you may recall, we talked about what? MAP stands for M for motivation, A is awareness, and P is preparation. Now, in order to be successful at anything, you have to what? Be motivated. You have to have a desire. 2, you need to be aware of who you are. You got to know yourself. And 3, you need to prepare. That was my first job when I got out of my undergrad in college. And I was responsible. I was a technical account manager. And so I was responsible for this one team. One of the places I had to go to was Little Rock, Arkansas. So we had to get that network up and running to generate their first revenue generating call. And there was this gentleman in there. Now we're in this switch room, they call it, and all this expensive equipment. I'm talking about $100,000, $200,000 worth of equipment. Monitors, all sorts of stuff, RF equipment everywhere. And he gets these golf balls out and he just starts juggling. And I'm like, man, I've always wanted to learn how to juggle. And I said, man, can you teach me? And he said, yeah. And I said, okay, well, let's do it after we leave work here, do it outside or whatever. He said, no, we'll do it right here. I'm like, are you crazy? So he's teaching me and I'm learning and golf balls just coming off the hard tile, hitting the monitors, hitting the equipment. I'm like thinking, man, we're going to break some stuff in here. This is not good. So here's what he does. He said, Jeff, in order to juggle, you have to learn how to juggle with 2 first. I was like, that doesn't make sense. Anybody can do that. He said, no, you have to learn how to juggle right. Okay, now you got my attention. So he said the deal about juggling is you have to throw every ball the same. No, he said you take one ball, you throw it, you hand the other one to it. You see how almost every ball is the same? And he said, whoa, that's good. You're left-handed, huh? He said, let's try the right hand. So I started right hand. I mean, the ball was going everywhere, right? Just everywhere. So he said, you have to be consistent with both hands at the same time. So I started with my right hand, right? So I'm doing this for 20-something, 30 minutes. And I'm thinking, okay, because remember, I don't know if I told you this. He said, I'm going to teach you how to juggle in 1 hour. So I'm looking at my watch going, man, okay. So doing this, he said, okay, now you got it. Now I want you to try 3. And I'm like, balls going all over the place. Just kept trying. And remember now, I already know how to juggle consistently with both hands, the same place. Catch it at the same way. Now I just had to have a third ball. I said, okay. So I started juggling. I was like, whoa, I'm actually doing this. This is crazy. Now I've done this with apples too. It gets messy. I could eat the apple. But here's the thing. I started juggling. And I'm like, I'm actually doing it. A simple skill like juggling. Here's what I've learned, and this is to wrap up, map what we talked about: motivation, awareness, preparation. Number one, I was able to juggle because I was motivated to learn. Secondly, I knew enough about myself to know this, that if I don't juggle right now, remember I said I was a high D, I'd take action right away. I knew if I didn't do it right then, I probably was never going to juggle again. And then thirdly, I prepared. I practiced over and over and over again. All right, as I wrap up today's episode, I hope you've been encouraged and equipped. I hope in some way that I've given you some practical tips that you can apply in your life right now. So with that said, I want to give you an action plan that will help you achieve those goals that you're set, that will help you to be more successful in any aspect of life. So with that said, take some time today or this week to figure out what is one or two things that you feel motivated to learn, or maybe to improve about yourself. And then secondly, if you don't know what your personality type is, I would encourage you to go to the personality type page on the Men Unplugged website and take any one of our 14 plus assessments for you, your spouse, your children, and your coworkers that will help you in all those different areas and more. So again, the link to that is menunplugged.net/profile. That's PROFILE. And lastly, I would say take 15 to 30 minutes a week. Maybe it's a month. Maybe that's all you can do to practice something new. If it means taking 15 minutes out of your lunch break, maybe it means waking up 15 minutes early or leaving work 15 minutes early. When you practice this thing called MAP that we're talking about, motivation, awareness, preparation, you're going to be setting yourself up for success in every aspect of life. Until next time, stay plugged in and recharged. God bless.
Thanks for listening. We hope you enjoyed this episode. There's plenty more to see at menunplugged.net, including key resources and ways to engage with Jeff in his training and speaking forums. While there, don't forget to subscribe and receive a free gift. We look forward to you joining us next time here on the Men Unplugged Show.